In the early 14th century, Florence bustled with life, and among its merchants, a humble family named Medici emerged. Through hard work and shrewd business acumen, they began to amass wealth. As the centuries progressed, the Medici expanded beyond mere commerce. They began investing in banking, leveraging Florence's position as a financial hub to their advantage. Innovative financial practices allowed the Medicis to become trusted advisors to wealthy patrons across Europe. Their influence spread beyond Florence's city walls. By the mid-14th century, Cosimo de' Medici had become a pivotal figure. His leadership and financial clout secured the family's status as Florence's unofficial rulers. The Medicis' rise was marked not only by wealth but also by patronage of the arts. They sponsored artists like Brunelleschi and Donatello, shaping Renaissance Florence. By the late 1390s, Giovanni di Bicci de' Medici saw an opportunity to shift his family's business from textiles into banking. In Florence, banks were essential for trade and finance. The Medicis innovated by offering new financial services such as deposit banking and loans to the nobility, quickly establishing themselves as trusted financiers. They capitalized on the power of credit and established branches across Europe to manage their growing network of financial transactions. The Medicis introduced double-entry bookkeeping to track financial flows precisely and prevent fraud, setting new standards in accounting. Their financial prowess allowed the Medicis to finance major construction projects in Florence, enhancing their reputation and influence throughout Italy. Cosimo de' Medici quietly maneuvers within Florence's corridors of power, forging alliances and marriages that weave a web of influence around the city. Through strategic marriages like that of Giovanni di Bicci to Piccarda Bueri, the Medici family gains control over key Florentine families and their businesses. As the Medici's wealth expands through banking and trade, they finance cultural projects like churches and civic buildings, subtly asserting their influence over Florence. Cosimo's nephew, Piero di Cosimo de' Medici, further consolidates family power by securing political support and making Florence a cultural epicenter of the Renaissance. By 1434, Cosimo de' Medici has established the Medici family as Florence's secret rulers through subtle manipulation and strategic alliances. Lorenzo de' Medici, the Magnificent, strides through Florence's bustling streets, his patronage transforming artists and thinkers into Renaissance icons. Botticelli paints the birth of Venus under Lorenzo's patronage, capturing the era's ideal beauty and rebirth of classical art. Michelangelo carves the Pietà for Lorenzo, his first major commission, marking the beginning of his legendary career in sculpting religious icons. Pico della Mirandola pens his Oration on the Dignity of Man, a philosophical masterpiece that shapes humanist thought and Lorenzo's cultural influence. Lorenzo hosts grand feasts and gatherings where scholars, artists, and nobles debate and inspire each other, cementing Florence's reputation as a hub of learning. In the autumn of 1494, as French King Charles VIII's army marched on Florence, Girolamo Savonarola rallied citizens to oust the Medicis from power, marking a dramatic shift in Florentine politics. Savonarola's zealous reforms swept through Florence, statues were toppled, luxury goods burned in bonfires of vanity, signaling a new era that would see the Medicis exiled and their grand palazzo left empty. The Medicis fled to their estates beyond Florence, plotting a return from exile. The political landscape shifted as Rome itself saw changes in leadership, setting the stage for a new alliance under Pope Julius II. In 1512, as Pope Julius II brokered a coalition against the French and restored the Medicis to power, Giovanni di Lorenzo de' Medici led his armed supporters back into Florence's heart, reclaiming the family's seat of authority. As the Medicis returned to power, Florence's bustling streets and markets welcomed them back with a sense of relief, but also with lingering questions about the future stability and legacy of Savonarola's brief rule. In the heart of Renaissance Florence, the Medici family's influence surged as Pope Leo X ascended to the papal throne, securing their dynasty's grip on European politics and religion. Catherine de' Medici, educated and shrewd, navigated the treacherous waters of French politics to secure a crown for herself and her children, becoming queen after the sudden death of her husband. Pope Clement VII's tenure was marked by the sack of Rome in 1527, a catastrophic event that tested the resilience and adaptability of the Medici influence within the Vatican. Christina of Lorraine's ascension to the throne of Florence solidified Medici control over Tuscany, showcasing the family's enduring impact on Italian politics and culture. Pope Leo XI's brief papacy was overshadowed by his successor Clement VIII, who worked tirelessly to restore the Church's authority and mend the rifts within Catholic Europe. Following Lorenzo's death in 1492, his son Piero struggled to uphold the Medici's grip on Florence. His ineptitude emboldened the populace and rival factions. In 1494, Piero's disastrous diplomacy led to a popular uprising and the Medicis' brief exile from Florence. The city gates opened wide as they fled under cover of night. During their absence, the Medicis' wealth and influence dwindled. Their vast fortune was seized by new leaders, but they clung to hope of reclaiming their former glory. With the arrival of a new century came renewed ambition. The Medicis used their cunning and allies to orchestrate a comeback that would restore them as Florence's undisputed masters. By 1512, their strategy bore fruit as they reclaimed control over Florence through military intervention and political maneuvering, signifying the start of a new chapter in the Medici dynasty's storied history. Florence's once unassailable Medici rule began to crumble as internal feuds between family members intensified. The city's political climate grew increasingly volatile, with whispers of conspiracy and betrayal everywhere. The Protestant Reformation's waves reached Florence, stirring religious turmoil and challenging the Medici family's traditional alliance with the Catholic Church. This shift divided the populace, undermining the Medicis' once solid control over Florentine society. As Pope Paul IV's policies strained relations between Florence and Rome, the Medicis faced mounting pressure to align their interests with conservative religious factions. This forced them into a precarious balancing act that threatened their long-held autonomy. The family's financial empire, long the cornerstone of their political influence, started to falter. Bankruptcies and economic downturns eroded their wealth, leaving them vulnerable to rivals who sought to seize control. In 1537, Alessandro de' Medici's assassination marked a turning point. His cousin, Cosimo I, ascended to the dukedom but struggled to maintain order amidst rising opposition from both within and beyond Florence's walls. Despite the Medici's decline from power in Florence by the late 1500s, their influence lingered through the masterpieces of Botticelli and Michelangelo, shaping Europe's cultural zenith. The Medici's patronage did not cease. They funded Galileo's groundbreaking discoveries and Cosimo III's architectural marvels, leaving an indelible mark on science and art. Even in exile from Florence's politics, the Medici maintained their sway through strategic marriages and alliances, ensuring their family's legacy endured across generations. Medici scions like Anna Maria Luisa donated their vast art collections to the city, founding the Uffizi Gallery that remains a cornerstone of cultural tourism today. The Medici's impact on European politics was profound. They brokered peace and war from afar, their diplomatic maneuvers shaping the continent's power dynamics for centuries to come.